Hello everybody, in today's video what we're going to do is we're going to go forth and add on from where we did in our last video, which was drawing with shapes. And in today's video what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drawing using shapes to create other objects. So basically you can try and learn how to draw anything out of shape. So let's get started. So the shapes we used before were triangle, circle, squares and cylinders. So we're going to be using those to create something out of sort of everyday objects is what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to start off with a square here. So let's do a square in perspective here, sort of in 2-point perspective. So it's giving it like that. It's being very rough. Now, I'm not going to worry like I did last time with drawing perspective lines or anything sort of like that. We want to just keep it rough and just showing you how quick and easily you can draw something in sort of 3D space and sort of an object. So what I'm going to draw here, I think, is I'm going to draw a sort of 90s, early 2000s computer. So what we want to do, and see how we can do this out of shapes. We want to draw another square onto the back here because I used to have those nice big chunky backs on them. So I want to get that in there like that, maybe a little bit of a curve to it even, like so. And then of course we want to have our screen, so we want to put a line in there to signify where our screen is. And then of course you can see we've got our screen there, but we want to have it with a motherboard and tower of course on top of it. But back in the early 90s and 2000s there used to be a square underneath, so we want to draw of course another square. Now remember, you could easily do this with your ruler and using the proper perspective lines, which would give you a much clearer result. I'm just trying to show how easily you can do this, quick and easily, once you sort of understand how you've done them in the future. We also want to do a mouse and keyboard, so let's do that as well. So let's do a nice little one here, and then you can see I'm just trying to keep it roughly the same where all of our perspective is. Now I'll probably do a video in the future of a proper in-depth look at perspective, where I will show you how to do all these lines correctly. I sort of went over it in my last video as well, just a little bit more in detail, but I think I need to do like a proper full version and really show how much you can use perspective lines to help make a drawing really come to life. I've got a little mouse there on a mouse pad even. Draw some quick lines across, signify key. So like I said, I'm not being perfect with this, I'm just showing you what you can do. So there we have it. We've got a nice sort of 90s, early 2000s style computer. Very easily made it out of basically squares. So let's do another thing that I've been enjoying practicing, and that is actually just drawing a bottle. One thing I've never tried before, definitely, but with doing the last video on making things out of shapes, I thought, well, I can try and learn how to make a lot of other things out of shapes, because I've really been trying to learn how to sort of draw the stuff that you want to draw, but you always never think about doing the other stuff. So for me, I like to draw characters and things like that. I mean, I'm not great at it, but animals and stuff, that's where I really want to put my focus. But I want to also, maybe one day I might come up with an idea for doing like a web comic or a comic, or just drawing things in the background. Everyone spends so much time focusing on your characters and that, what you should, you want really good focus on characters, but you also need to remember that you've got to be able to draw some of the other things in a scene as well. So that's what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to draw scenes with, you know, people interacting with environments, stuff like that. And I want to, this is what brought me on to drawing what I'm drawing right now, which is the random objects around, is figuring those out, because once you learn sort of the triangle, circle, square technique for drawing a lot of things, you can actually figure a lot of the things out. Like, here we go, we've got a bottle here. It's a little bit wonky because I'm not drawing the perspective right. Like, I would focus on this a little bit more, but you can see even here I can use this circle here I use as a guideline to be my liquid that is filling this bottle here. Focus on it a little bit here. Now you add in just a little bit of shading like so, and you have a bottle like so, that containing liquid on the inside, and you just come along and you sort of just like erase like this line here. Maybe erase this one here a little bit. You know, just doing this, going back and forth between bits you want to erase, the bits you want to keep, and you sort of come out keeping that there, because as you can see I used a cylinder to draw this, and it basically gives you the 3D effect of the bottle because we're using our cylinder here for our base shape. You can see there as if you got see-through liquid, and you can see it right there. So what other thing you can draw, say a platter of food even. Let's go with like a plate here, a nice circle on its side. But let's say we want to use our shape, so let's go with a triangle. So what I might do is I might put a wedge of cheese on this. So let's go like that, especially since I like to draw fantasy and stuff there. You know, I might want to draw one of my characters in a tavern, an inn, something like that. So I want to draw a cheese platter here, maybe with some meat and food on there. Just some of those simple things that people forget about. And I'm doing a sort of the classic nice hole in the cheese, you know, the good cartoon ones. You can see just like that pretty easily. I'm drawing a little bit small there, have to zoom in so you can see. And then, you know, add maybe some grapes on here. So it's just thinking about everything in terms of like 3D space and paying attention to what we got here. So let's actually solidify that plate just a little bit more, so it's not looking entirely flat. And then you of course come in like so, make it even a little bit thicker. Maybe it's on a board or even a bowl, and like that, it automatically makes it look a lot more 3D. And of course you'd add shadows and stuff to that, which is, I'm still new to doing that sort of thing, so you know, I'm not 100% confident in that. But another thing we could easily draw, what about a blender? You know, these are just nice simple shapes. So I want to start off with our square like so, come in like that, and then what we want to do is we want to draw a circle, but we want it to come up as a cylinder. Now blenders aren't always straight up, so I want to actually extend this out a little bit more, maybe like so, and then I can come in. So this is more adding the cone shape that we drew in our last video, but with also the cone shape, we're just sort of trimming the top off like so, and we're adding it more as a cylinder tapered down, but that's basically a cone. But you can see there that we have a nice, easy to draw blender essentially. And you know, you can add things like a lid to it. And I always have those nice black darken lids. Now of course I'm just doing this, you know, really quick to show you how you can do these things, not really paying too much attention to the detail in that, because if I was to do this properly I would draw this as, you know, spending more time really focusing on getting those perspectives. But in the video, I'm just trying to show you how we can do these things to create, you know, anything that we want here out of any shape we want, and you can see you can get really good looking results for nice, quick, easy sketching to sort of just take the little bit of a pressure on. One thing I've been, especially since I'm trying to do the videos on YouTube here, is I've been really, you know, self-conscious about my drawing and stuff like that. But I've been finding that doing these shapes has actually sort of kept me, I wouldn't say sane, but kept me, you know, a little bit at ease by just practicing these little things here. But getting my confidence up, I guess, is more of the term I'm trying to go for here. Is by keeping it sort of simple. I'm not focused so much on getting everything perfect, and that's one thing I need to learn for myself, is to just make sure I can focus on getting the drawings done, because the longer I spend being too worried, especially with putting it on YouTube like I am now, is I'm gonna fall into that trap, which I know I already did. Already, why it takes me so long to put videos on YouTube of me drawing, is that I never felt that I was good enough, and that I've got to have everything, you know, to a standard where I'm happy with showing it off. And I feel like drawing these things here, because they're just simple shapes, and you can combine them into things pretty quickly to resemble what you're actually trying to draw. Like we have another bottle, square one this time. It gives me a little bit more confidence, and if I can build up a little bit more confidence like that, I can say, hey, I can break these things down and make these nice shapes. I can actually then focus on trying to break down the drawings enough that I am comfortable with sharing them in that way. When I do the bigger projects, the ones I'm, you know, more sort of proud of and I spend more effort to, if they're not up to standard, I can say, hey, you know, I've still got these drawings here, and I'm really happy with how they look, and you know, they're no different than these ones here where I've broken down the shapes, except for they're more complex shapes, so I can be a little bit, hopefully a little bit more easier on myself. We'll see when we get there, with drawing characters and stuff like that. Hey, they're just shapes broken down to more complex forms, and I want to try and get them as good as I can, and hopefully that will help me sort of be not so afraid of everything. So what I'm doing right here is I'm going to try and draw a car. So I actually did have a few practices with this beforehand. I was like, well, I was drawing some shapes like how I was there. I was drawing the blender, and I was drawing the computer. I was like, you know what, that's actually not far off trying to draw a way more complicated shape like a car. So I was like, well, maybe I can give that a try. So what I'm doing here is I'm coming in, breaking down the shapes, trying to make it look as car-like as I can. You know, of course, it's not going to be perfect. I'm definitely not a person who draws cars, but so they're not going to be completely accurate. But I want them to, you know, in comics and web comics and all sorts of drawings, you want to have them interacting with environments and things like that. So you can see I'm constantly adjusting, trying to make it look more correct. Well, more correct to what I can perceive being correct anyway. But you can see, because we're just using shapes, it's not hard to add on this extra long bit here that I've got to represent the hood of the car. So I'm not worried about it too much. And you can see that just by using some shapes, I'm coming in here, I'm just cutting pieces out, adding pieces on. That's a lot of what this is just finding out the areas that you're comfortable with adding and subtracting the bits you need, and using all these different shapes to convey that. So you can see here, I'm just adding on triangles here, gives us our roof. And you know what, I think I'm going to go into a time lapse of this, of me finishing off, sort of polishing it up a bit more, and show you that you can just use some simple shapes to come in and really help work on making something way more complex and something you wouldn't have even thought of. Now, I'm not even going to, like I'm doing right here, I'm not even using reference for this. I'm not even going to use reference for this, which I'm sure would add in a lot more value and really help this drawing probably a lot more than I'm doing here. But I want to keep it without reference, show you guys, you know, like I said, I just figured this out. I was just sitting here drawing away and I just completely sort of had a moment where I was just testing out. I think I was trying to draw the computer, I drew it a bit longer and I was trying to add on some other things, and I thought, hold on, if I extended this out a bit further, this sort of looks like a car. Like I could draw a rough sort of 90s comic era sort of car out of this, and then that's basically what I did. I've drawn one a few times, so what I'm going to do is I'll go into the time lapse, do this a bit quicker without using any reference or anything, just show you that you can draw something similar to this in the same way. So I hope this video helps you in realizing that if you use basic shapes as building blocks, you can pretty much draw anything that is sort of complex in design, and you can just break it down in certain ways to come up with things like this, how I've drawn this car here, out of complex shapes, but starting off with very simple shapes, and how you can really take it to the next level. So I hope this video has given you some inspiration in doing your own drawings in the future. But with all that said, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video.